Oh, Judas Contract. You were never my favourite Teen Titans storyline, but you deserved so much better than this. So before I get into it, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about my history with this movie. In my very first DCAMU video, I laid out a list stating which of the movies I had watched and which I'd be going into fresh. The Judas Contract was one that I had watched, but I turned it off halfway through. And I am someone who is more likely to do that than most. When I'm watching something, I don't feel obligated to see it through to the end and think, oh, maybe it'll get better, maybe it just needs more time. No. If a movie or TV show has lost me, it's lost me. I might return to it if I hear good things about it, but I don't feel obligated to stick with something that isn't entertaining me. This happens more with TV shows than movies, simply because of the time commitment, but Judas Contract was just that bad. So when it came to writing this review, that was the first time I saw it all the way through, and it's even worse. So let's talk about it. We start with a flashback that introduces us to some great Teen Titans characters, none of whom we will be seeing again once this flashback is over. And isn't Beast Boy supposed to be significantly younger than the others, considering he's pretty much the same age 5 years later? The New 52 movies have been pretty decent with their continuity, but this makes no sense. He is at the most 16 in Justice League vs. Teen Titans, 5 years previous. That would make him 11 here. This kid is not 11, but let's just say that he is. I highly doubt teenage Dick would have taken an 11-year-old into the field. His peers, yes, because all teenagers think they're invincible, but not a child well outside of his peer group. Who does he think he is, Batman?
When do I get to drive? My car. So never.
Yeah, I'm going to give you another Dick sucks here, but my enthusiasm for this character is so low at this point, it's done more out of obligation.
Flash, go find out. On it! Report.
Well, at least he seems to be a competent leader.
Titans, go!
Who puts his team in danger because his dick tells him to.
The fact that she's hot has nothing to do with it.
You know what? I'm not even angry at this point. I got more than enough dick right here. So they rescue Starfire. Tamaranians learn languages through kissing, so that happens.
My sister Commander staged a coup and took the throne.
Now, wouldn't that be interesting to see? Which of course means we won't be seeing it. Dick offers Cody a place to stay, and we jump forward to the present where the Teen Titans that were, in such a small amount of time, very well established and are far more interesting and endearing than the ones we've previously dealt with, are replaced with this. New 52 movies, you are such a shameless tease. You establish good characters and a competent functioning team only to replace it with this.
A tough climb, especially in this moonlight.
Nightwing.
They're bound to spot us.
Nightwing?
If we wait for those clouds.
Dick!
What?
Tara's taking us up there.
She is?
Oh my god, Dick, you suck so hard! How did you get worse at this in the space of 5 years?
Going up.
We'll get to you. So the Teen Titans are breaking into a compound run by Brother Blood and a mysterious other villain. Who could it be? Corey and Dick's interactions are kind of sickly, but also kind of accurate. And this all culminates in Dick asking Corey to move in with him. I don't care. Oh yeah, and they manage to suck out all of Beast Boy's adorability and leave behind all his obnoxiousness. But I guess it is a pretty accurate representation of a teenage boy. Tara expresses her distaste for both him and Raven, but you know who gets some good characterization? Jaime. We get a scene where he's talking to his family and find out that due to all this Blue Beetle stuff, he doesn't get to see them all that often, and it seems like he's missed his little sister's quinceañera, which is really sad. DCAMU, why do you keep teasing us with good characterization that you are never going to properly expand upon? So, we are treated to an exposition scene involving brother blood.
Lies. My church is a holy place, and we strive only to do good.
Come now, Brother Blood.
Okay. Now, before I go any further with this character, I just want to tell you how I came to the realization of how ridiculous he actually is. I was trying to explain this character to a friend who doesn't read comic books. Seriously, shout out to Kia if you're watching. And I said his name to her, and she just gave me this look and laughed at me. And me, being so far into this comic book fangirl mindset, was like, why don't you get it? What's so funny about this? But it was in watching this specific scene that I understood exactly how she felt. Because we've got this character saying, oh, my church is a holy place, a peaceful place that respects religion and is all about peace and love. And the journalist is like, come now, brother blood. I can just imagine something coming on one of those religious broadcasting channels. Have you been feeling yourself drifting further from God? Have you been feeling lost, like a sheep, without a shepherd? Please, come join our flock and talk to our shepherd. Brother Blood. Okay, moving on. The most basic information you need to know is that this guy is running a religious fundamentalist cult. Imagine Ra's al Ghul with twice the arrogance, half the intelligence, no honour to speak of, and doesn't actually believe in what he's doing beyond his own glory. We're treated to a cute scene between Dick and Damien in which Damien says he approves of Starfire, which by Damien's standards is downright adorable. And we get a glimpse into Brother Blood's lavish televangelist lifestyle where he is literally bathing in the blood of his enemies. Okay, now I often tout about how subtle and nuanced comic books can be if you just look past the flashy exterior, but this is a character that is more on the nose than most. Mother Mayhem, got the names, says she is worried, but Brother Blood says not to worry because their guardian angel is watching over them.
Plus, I pay the bastard enough.
Clues as to the identity of this mysterious person just keep cropping up. And we learn that Blood has created a machine that gives the user strength and prolonged life by draining the life of others. Again, just so subtle, isn't it? Back at Titan's Tower, Terra is having a nightmare that threatens to topple the building. Okay, I'm going to leave my thoughts about Terra to the end because with how little they understood this character, there is a lot to unpack. So for now, I'll just say that Raven uses her powers to calm her down. Damien wants to know what she saw. Basically makes the same argument I did in the Justice League vs. Teen Titans video. Raven says,
last I checked, Damien, Corey was in charge, not you.
Because her approach worked so well when it came to your problem, didn't it, Raven? We get the identity of Blood's mysterious partner, who is
Deathstroke.
Done!
And it is revealed that Blood's plan is to capture all the Teen Titans and use them in his immortality-granting machine. Said Teen Titans are having a training session with Starfire.
To be ready for anything, you must train for everything.
Who gives the most generic warrior talk ever. Listen to Constantine say something similar in the Justice League Dark movie.
I expect the worst, so I prepare for the worst, and when the worst happens, I'm ready. But my outlook doesn't alter the reality of the world.
It is an overused line, but thanks to Matt Ryan's voice acting, doesn't it sound like he believes what he's saying? Doesn't it echo his character's personality? It sounds like they're trying to make this character sound vaguely alien by making it sound like English isn't her first language, although this Starfire has definitely kissed dick enough times to be fluent at this point. And I just don't think this voice actress has the personality and charisma to make it endearing. So her and Dick spar.
Guess we know who's taking out the garbage at the new place.
Has anyone else noticed that the only one-on-one fight he has won that hasn't been against a throwaway villain happened off-screen? Writers, why do you hate Dick? Dick is one of the most naturally gifted hand-to-hand combatants in the DC universe. Yes, Corey is infinitely more powerful, and yes, she is a brilliant warrior who is capable of taking him down in a hand-to-hand spar, but
You did very well. You lasted far longer this time.
every time, with no effort on her part. Okay, you want to get into this? Let's get into it. The Bat family is meant to be a symbol of human will, intelligence, hard work, and ingenuity triumphing over great natural power. These people, every one of them, don't just fight alongside gods. They lead gods, and to treat one of them with this little respect is infinitely infuriating.
You lasted far longer this time. I meant in training, of course. He's very proficient when we have...
Corey!
This is not cute. This is embarrassing. So the kids start to spar, and Tara has another flashback, which at this point,
So soft. I let you go for a little kiss.
I don't blame her for. And yes, this is the point. I turned off this movie the first time. Tara sneaks out in the middle of the night, and Damien says she needs to be watched.
She needs understanding, not surveillance. Corey thinks she's worth it, and I agree.
Now, Corey and Dick are very compassionate characters, but they are not stupid. This kind of behaviour would prompt them to freaking do something! I already talked about how irresponsible this approach was in Justice League vs. Teen Titans, but that was mostly confined to Corey's character. But you've already assassinated Dick's character enough, so why not make him as dumb and irresponsible as she is? Damien, being the only one with any sense, follows her. Not only because he is suspicious, but he actually makes an effort to reach out to her before being interrupted by Deathstroke. It looks like they've corrected their previous mistake with this guy. And it's revealed that Tara has been working for Slade and they capture Damien. One thing I will give Judas Contract is that they managed to portray the uncomfortable nature of Slade and Tara's relationship. This was the first time I felt like Tara was a real person that could and does actually exist in the world. It effectively displays that in these kind of, I won't even call them relationships, sometimes the teenager can be the sexual aggressor, but it is always the adult that is psychologically in control of the situation, and that is why it is so sick. Even if he's not sleeping with her, which, considering the rating they wanted, I understand why they didn't go that far, but despite that, they still managed to make the manipulation effective and disturbing. Except for...
Kill the witch! She's a demon! Kill her now!
We'll be getting to that. Corey and Dick are sorting out their new place, and there is good and bad in this scene. The good is Corey's insecurity about the younger Titans going to Dick for leadership. I don't know why, but apparently they do, which makes her question her abilities and her place on the team. The bad, it's not actually bad, it's really more my connection to their comic book relationship. I like Corey and Dick's relationship, but to me, it always came across more as a teen romance, something both of them would eventually grow out of, because they are both crazy about each other, but they couldn't seem to settle with each other. There was always a problem, always something in the way. They just couldn't get over themselves, if you know what I mean. And that is what most teen romances are like. But outside of that, I don't think they really work. I think because they have such extreme personalities that skew mostly in one direction, I think they need someone who can balance them out more effectively, which is why I think Barbara is a much more effective long-term partner for Dick. But yeah, I've kind of gone off topic, I've talked about this long enough, but yeah, I ship them, okay? I'm a fangirl, sue me. Damien's voice acting is better in this movie than the last one, but this kid's inflections are ridiculous.
Why not get me out of here so I can defend myself properly?
Properly. They seem to be doing Deathstroke fairly well as he and Damien have a decent back and forth.
I should reply. I am well and will see you soon. You're more of a dick.
And this is what Deathstroke is like. At least in the comics I read about him. I know Deathstroke is a character that is prone to changing depending on who's writing him, but this is how I see Deathstroke. Just a laid-back character almost. Just someone who doesn't care. Someone who says, I've got a job to do, I'll do the job, and I don't care about anything else beyond that. And just says what he wants to say, no matter what the situation is.
I'm gonna break you into little bits.
It's good to have goals, essay. Me? I'm having waffles after you're dead.
So they seem to be doing him all right.
I rose from nothing while you had everything handed to you. You cost me my rightful place.
Nope. Shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up.
You took my old family thing in. So I'll take your new one.
And we're back to why daddy why territory. The Titans discover they've been surveilled in a very in-depth fashion, and Starfire tells them to exercise caution. Beast Boy and Terra have a pretty well-written and touching conversation about personal struggles and how that can form bonds and make you a hero. Boy, for a second, it almost felt like these two characters were human beings. Deathstroke captures all the Teen Titans. Okay, that was actually kind of clever. And the writers tell you exactly what they think of Dick.
You're overrated, kid.
Did Dan Didio write this? Dick manages to escape by faking Deathstroke out. World's greatest mercenary, my arse. Since he apparently failed to capture Dick alive, Deathstroke betrays Terra and offers her in Dick's place. He arrives just in time and stops them from taking all their powers, but he gets enough. Dick and Damien tag team Deathstroke while the rest take on Brother Blood, which is disappointingly easy. But I do like the fact that he's ultimately killed by Mother Mayhem. Slade is killed by Terra, who ends up committing suicide while the Titans escape. And I like the little addition of Kevin Smith's podcast where Beast Boy wraps up the story. They introduced Donna Troy, who I'm sure we'll be seeing so much of in future movies. I'm sure. And of Terra, he says,
And she finally showed her true self. Terra Markov was like a diamond. The most beautiful thing that I'd ever seen.
No. Wow. Just, wow, that was bad. It was bad in a very different way than the other ones were bad, because Son of Batman was mostly confined to Damien's character, but since his character was basically the whole movie, it made the movie bad. Batman Bad Blood was bad because they tried to cram so much into a 70-minute movie and focused on entirely the wrong parts, which was just a foolish thing to do. And Justice League vs. Teen Titans was bad because there was nothing spectacular about it. There was nothing good, but there was nothing bad enough that was worth really talking about. This one, I don't really think I have the right way to describe why I hated this one so much, so let me just go through it. I'll start with the good because there are a few points I'd like to make, but what is good is very small. First of all, I liked Mother Mayhem, although her shooting of those two guards in the beginning was a really cheap way to portray her character, because, well, why did she? If she wanted to protect secrets, there are so many other guards in the compound the Teen Titans stormed, so there was no reason to shoot those two other than just giving a shorthand to the audience about how fanatical and fundamentally evil she is. But other than that, her character was pretty good, and I did like the fact that she ultimately killed Brother Blood because she was a true believer, and he was a cult leader who was preying on the vulnerability and beliefs of his followers. So the fact that he was killed by someone who bought into what he was selling was a pretty good end.
Saved. I won't let them cage you.
Jaime's characterization was good, but again, it's a very, very tiny part of the movie. The Teen Titans that were introduced in the first couple minutes, they were all very well characterized, especially Red Arrow.
And now we get to stop an alien brawl. But which side do we join?
Really?
Looks can be deceiving.
It seems to be that the parts the New 52 movies focus on the least are the ones that are the most well done, but as soon as they try to dive a little bit further into something, they end up fucking it up. And you know who the best character in this movie was? Damien. Damien seems to be the only person who gets characterization throughout these movies, rather than just internal movie characterization. He's the only one that grows throughout the movies. He has gone from not caring about anyone outside the League of Assassins, to understanding his father's point of view, to having a relationship with Dick, to becoming part of the team. And even though those stages were really badly done, I explained in previous videos as to why the stages themselves were emotionally unearned, but it is still good progression in terms of the emotional stages he goes through to make him a more open person. And this is the movie where he is the best character because, one, he's the only one who seems to have a head on his shoulders. Of course, he's naturally suspicious because of the life he leads, but he does genuinely try to hold out an olive branch and help someone because he understands being brainwashed by authority figures with an agenda. So when the best character in your movie is Damien freaking Wayne, you know you screwed up royally with your other characters, right? Dick, I guess, is redeemed a little bit towards the end, as he uses his quick thinking and detective skills to escape Deathstroke and get into the compound. But he was so terrible the rest of the time that I don't hold out any hope for this character getting better. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is the last significant appearance he makes in the DCAMU. And that's incredibly sad. So let's get on to the bad stuff. Like I said, I did like the dynamic between Slade and Tara, but it is ruined by the fact that this is all happening because he saved her from a bunch of angry villagers, when it would have been so much truer if she had just been portrayed as a vulnerable teenager who had feelings for him and he was using those feelings for his own ends, which is something that happens every day in the world. But you had to go with the burn the witch angle, which doesn't happen every day in the world. At the very least, not the developed world. Which brings me on to Tara herself, because it's been a while since I read the Judas Contract comic and I deliberately kept myself away from it because I wanted to give this movie as fair a shake as I could, but they just got her so wrong. And I suppose we can't really talk about a reinterpretation of this character without looking at the original Teen Titans animated series, because I understand why they did a complete reinvention of this character and decided to go with a lost soul angle. And that was a great idea, especially because in the comic Tara is just a psychopath. She is outright bad. Her character was meant to show how two people can go through exactly the same experiences but come out the other end completely different. It was kind of a nature-nurture thing, but I understand why the Teen Titans animated series didn't want to portray a child who was just bad to the core. Judas Contract the movie tries to take both ideas, and in doing so, fails on both fronts. They make her so intensely unlikable. She's just like, buzz off, screw you, whatever. Just, there is nothing endearing about her whatsoever. And then they try and overcompensate with this over-the-top, burn the witch, with pitchforks and torches and dragging her behind a motorbike. God, it feels so freaking cheap. And it's like they're saying, we know she's not such a likable character, but sympathize with her. And I'm like, no, I don't like this character. And I don't appreciate you trying to so blatantly manipulate my emotions by giving her this ridiculous backstory. And where are these villagers from? They live in a world where superheroes exist. So this whole burn the witch thing really just rings false. And even if they were in some part of the world where superheroes didn't exist, or maybe considering the age Tara is, they just don't exist yet, it still rings false. It's just not enough that she might have been ostracized from her family, driving her into the arms of a much older manipulative man, which again happens every day, but no. This film overreached and just missed everything. It missed the lost soul, manipulated young girl angle. and it missed the unpleasant, bad to the bone angle. It tried to have it both ways, and it just didn't work. And as a result, I have no sympathy for this abused, PTSD-ridden young girl who is being actively manipulated by a predatory older man. And if you can't get me to sympathize with someone like that, oh boy, have you failed. Right, everyone, if this is the first video of mine you're ever tuning into, I am normally much more lighthearted than this. I do take my shots, and I am a bit sarcastic, but I thought in this case, they just failed on almost every front. Is it the worst thing I've ever seen in my life? Absolutely not. But it was bad enough that I turned it off the first time. So everyone, thank you for joining me. The next video will be up on Halloween, and the winner of the Patreon vote this month was a review of The Long Halloween. And in regards to the Judas Contract, I have a series called In the Comics where I take movies and TV show episodes that are either based on one specific comic or have taken enough elements from several comics to make it worth exploring. So if you would like to see an episode of that in regards to the Judas Contract, please let me know in the comments below. First episode is there if you want to check it out. So once again, thank you for joining me, and I will see you all on Halloween.